Casey, thank you so much for joining us. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. Now, how long have you been with the Coaching Institute for?
I've been with the Coaching Institute since maybe about September last year, but I did my intake weekend, my Foundations of Coaching Success in February. So I kind of procrastinated until February. And then once I was in the building, it was just all in. Yeah. So I really have been going since February.
Okay. Good on you. Fantastic. So because you had the perfectionism stuff going on, was that like preventing you from reaching out? Was that part of why did you feel like you needed to do it all alone, or?
I think I did. And I think it was also, I probably wasn't very open to making mistakes.
Yeah.
So to admit that I needed help was a big thing for me as well.
Right.
So even getting to that point was huge. And
Good on you for doing it. That's freaking awesome.
Yeah. It's been amazing now that I'm, in the Coaching Institute and have just found so much community and the support and the guidance. My journey has just kind of skyrocketed, and I'm so much better at making mistakes, and I'm so much more supported and feel like I know the actual steps to take.
Congratulations on what you've achieved in such a small amount of time. I think it's wonderful that you've overcome something like the desire to stay, on your own. And, so many people struggle with needing to be perfect. I think it's such a horrible idea that so many people have a relationship with. Like, I reckon the majority of people don't take action on things because they're waiting for the perfect time, or they're waiting for everything to be perfect and things like that. And I think it's wonderful because through you stepping into a supportive community, you're not only growing yourself, but you're also serving your clients more, better, and deeper, which is absolutely amazing. Now, I want to ask you about a little bit more about the desire to do it all alone and get things right and things like that, because I trust it's going to serve a lot of people. And I love that you've taken some steps to overcome that. When you first reached out to the community to say, okay, well, I'm not going to do it alone. I'm going to get some support. I'm going to get some help. What was that like initially? Like, what was it like to change your relationship with, beforehand I'm doing it alone. Now I'm going to get some support because I'm going to trust in some people that know how to help me do it. How did you actually overcome that?
I think to begin with, the frustration of holding myself back and not getting the results in my business, and just feeling like I suppose I did know enough and had enough awareness that I knew I was self-sabotaging. And it got to the point where, I'd been doing it for long enough that I was just sick of it. And I really just wanted to have an actual go. And I knew I was capable of more. And yet I wasn't achieving that. So, I got to this point where the pain was strong enough where I was like, I have to have help. So even my first phone call with Bianca it just felt so right. And she actually cared about my dream, my vision, my goals. And to have somebody actually validate that and to really ask me wholeheartedly about what I wanted to achieve, instantly I knew I was in the right place. And I didn't know anything about what the Coaching Institute offered, but that was the first point where I was like, okay, I think I'm on the right path here.
So many people get into coaching, me including myself. I started becoming a coach because I wanted to help people, and I still now, it's like I love the coaching side of it. Like, I love the training and things, but I was just like you, I knew nothing about business. And I think a lot of people make the mistake of starting that way, but thinking that it'll work itself out, or clients will just come to me, or any of those kind of statements that, you can sit on for a little bit of time, but eventually the clients aren't coming unless you actually learn how to do business and how to do business in a cool way. For someone who hasn't learned anything about business before this, and now, because you're in our programs and you're learning about coaching and business together, what's your view now on business? Like, are you starting to enjoy it? Are you starting to like enjoy learning about how to serve your clients more? I want to know, because I think a lot of people have like an aversion to it. Like, I don't want to, or you know, I'm not a business person. A lot of people say that. So I love that you said it's like, I'm seeing myself as a businesswoman now. So what's your thoughts on that?
I definitely was somebody who was completely averse to business. And I had a whole bunch of stories around business and around sales and marketing. And that was holding me back massively. And I was basically sabotaging myself. But through the learnings that I've received, I've actually gotten really excited about marketing and sales, because I can see that it's a way for me to provide value to my community. And I'm so much better able to actually serve people for free with just the content that I'm sharing as well. And of course that, you know, often when they feel like they can, you know, see what value I'm providing for them, you know, for some of those that, you know, want a coach, they know that I'm there for them, that it's an option. Whereas before they had no idea I even existed. So it's really, did that answer your question?
Very much so. Thank you so much. And I think I trust that will be really inspirational for a lot of people. I think a lot of people are like you, they're passionate, they want to make a difference, but how you used to be, no one even knows they exist, right? And I think that's the worst thing. If you've got someone, and I imagine there's a lot of people that'll be watching this, that you're passionate, you want to make a difference, you want to contribute, but you got to learn the coaching skills, but also the business skills of how do we help the world know you exist, so they can actually come to you and start receiving the wonderful support that you have to give.
Yeah. And I do also see a lot of parallels with my personal growth and my personal journey and where I'm holding myself back in business. So as I'm learning the business skills and I'm progressing in business, I'm also progressing in my personal journey, because they go hand in hand.
That's wonderful. Tell us a little bit about that. How are you growing personally, and how have you grown personally over the last, has it been 6 months?
Yeah.
It hasn't been very long, about 6 months.
Yeah, about 6 months. You know, probably only a few months that, you know, I actually started working once I, you know, got through that sabotage. I feel like for me in business, you know, with my fears around sales and around marketing, I had a huge fear of what people were going to think and about my worthiness and my value. And through doing the business skills and the different levels and layers of the business training, I'm realizing my worth. I'm realizing the value that I bring to my clients, just in a business sense, first and foremost. But then there's this whole deeper layer, because in my personal life, that's the exact same issue I'm dealing with, not feeling worthy enough, not feeling like I provide value. So as I'm getting stronger in providing value to my customers and believing that I can do that, it's trickling into my personal life as well.
Casey, I love what you just said, because I'm thinking about all the people that will be watching this and that will get so much value from it, because I see a lot of what's typical of someone who becomes a coach is, well, because we're all human, the person who wants to become a coach still has their own personal challenges. Self-doubt. Am I good enough? Am I going to be able to take care of this? And I love that you're an example of someone who's, you're learning how to become a master coach. You're serving people, you're making a difference, and you're growing, and you're still taking time for your own personal journey, but you're not waiting until you're all together, right? Because that's not a place anyway, but like being perfect before you serve, you're doing both along the same time. And I think that's a great example of how a coach can be and should be.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I was kind of waiting until I had the confidence, had things a bit more together, had gotten further along in my journey. But from being in the coaching institute, and I think that was one of my fears. I was going in, I was thinking, you know, oh, what if they find out that I haven't got it all together? And immediately when I actually started watching.
So good. It's like, what if there's a test? It's like we come in, it's like Casey doesn't have it together.
That was a huge fear for me on that first day, you know, in my intake weekend. So I remember I was very closed off, very cynical, sitting there kind of being like, to kind of protect myself. But that fear was immediately taken away because, the trainers and the facilitators and, the team that was working on the day, they were all showing up as their authentic selves. And it was made very clear that nobody has it all together. We're all on a personal journey, and that's never going to end. So immediately that just kind of washed away and just gave me space to actually show up as myself. So yeah, that was, just so inspiring for me.
That's great. Now, Casey, so many people will be inspired by what you've shared today. And there's so many people that are watching that are at the same point you were at maybe 6 months ago, and for all different reasons on the precipice of saying yes to becoming a coach and getting some formal education and joining this community. What would you say to someone who is considering joining the Coaching Institute and becoming a coach?
Just take the leap.
Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for being part of this. You're an absolute star. And I think that it's just, I'm over the moon for what you've achieved so far. And it's only just the beginning. We have so much more of a journey to go on. So thank you so much, Casey.
You're so welcome. Thank you for having me.